Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Welcome. Happy Friday. It is Friday, which means that it is time for coexistence and sustainability with Pet Psychic Aminah. I am Megan. I am your guest host this week. You are watching us on USA Global TV and Radio, and I am so excited to be here with you again today. I am so excited to talk to Pet Psychic Aminah, an amazing, amazing person. She teaches us, she educates us, she helps us to connect with the earth and the importance and the value of animals. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that is very timely. So I'm going to bring out Aminah right now. Aminah, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. How's the volume?
Volume is great. I can hear you just great.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Because, you know, little buttons move and I'm like, oh, nice. We want to make sure that all of us that have come and that my goal in my work is to educate and to give us a chance to coexist with our animals and nature and the trees. And so many people don't realize just it's that simple. You cut a rose bush up or because you think they're pretty and you put them in your house, but you chop them down to the dirt or you run into a tree driving. And I backed into one when I was, learning to drive and all of these things. And so many of us don't realize there's a consequence to nature, to our living, to our growth in food sources, and so many other things. I'm not here to blame anybody, just to open your eyes.
Well, I think it's so important to have a conversation because I'll be honest with you, there's things that happen and come up that I haven't thought of them before, or I just haven't talked with them before. And I know right now we're talking, one of the things we're going to talk about today is keeping pets safe and happy in the rain and weather and mainly keeping pets safe.
Yeah, absolutely. You wouldn't believe sometimes I'm walking down the street and I'm watching somebody go with either a choke collar, and so it's too tight. It's damaging their wind box. Wind, meaning breathing, rim breathing. And I can't tell you how many are. Harness is far more difficult to strangle them with. And what happens? A cat runs by the dog. Off they go. And you're dragging behind, or you're damaging their whole breathing ability. What does that happen? You're in a vet's clinic paying thousands of dollars to see how they can, first of all, get them out of pain and get them back to health. just imagine if somebody put something around your neck, anything, something small, tall, low. I always think about it if it was you. Would this be what you want? What we are doing to decorate our breeds. I don't know if you've seen this, but poodles seem to be the victim still for pink colored powder hair or something. You can decorate your or costume up your animal during all kinds of holidays and Halloween. Great guard dog, and they won't really eat all the candy if you do. But think about the collar. Is it important? Yeah, because if it has tags, which you all should have, you can also get your animals tattooed, and that can be anywhere on the body. And all they do is separate the fur. Anybody who's looking for that obviously knows about that. So if your pet gets lost, whoop, run away. I'm going to go chase squirrels. And you're like, oh God, have you ever chased a squirrel? I haven't, but they go very fast, and your dog's gone. And hopefully it doesn't get hit by a car or anything. But what if, and you don't know that, the dog's on the side of the road, somebody doesn't know, you don't have tags on your animal. Who are they going to call? They're going to call the Humane Society. And God help them, the Humane Society's got to make a difficult choice to put it down because they don't know who the owner is. They can try reaching out to some of the vets, but if you haven't been to a vet in decades, so we have indoor kitties. We don't take them to the vet very often. We did it just the other day because it was something that they really, really needed to have updated. And we're all like, wow, we really got out of practice of doing this. But they're in a closed environment. They don't have access to the outdoors. Windows are great, but dogs tend to be going back and forth. What it takes is one little rock or one little nail somebody dropped, and it embeds into their foot. That's serious medical issues.
Ow, and it sounds painful too.
Oh my God, yes. I don't know about you, but I've done that. I went to put something, and I was watching where I was going, not where I was putting my hand. And I ended up putting a nail in my hand. And my dad, I put it through the fatty part, as they call it. And I told my dad, no, it's fine. He's like, you can't live with a nail in your hand. And I was like, yeah, but I'd really like to at this point.
It's looking at my options, living or not get removed.
Because I could take the pain now. I already knew what that was. But, and he pulled it out there on the courts. He's a coach. He's doing this kind of stuff, not nails as much. But of course, then I had to have the antibiotics and had to have the bandages and all that kind of stuff. But once it was out, it was fine. But man, shocking things happens to our pet on every walk. It's possible. I just want to open your mind to that.
That is very true. Well, and I was wondering, now that it is turning kind of for California, but in most of the other states, like it's turning winter, you know what I'm saying? Most of the other states deal with the seasons. California, not always so much. But what I was thinking as we're going into winter and we're starting to think of the days being shorter, it being colder, there being more storms, is there anything we should be doing to prepare with that for our animals? Because to me, thinking of being in when it's raining for days on end, that could be very stressful to an animal. Right. Or am I right with that?
You are absolutely right. If you've got, for example, a working breed, any of your shepherds, any of your blue, they call them blue, but they're not, they're herding dogs and that kind of stuff. Your cats, maybe they're in and out and then now they're all in, man, you're going to have some serious whining going on because they're living their best life as far as they're concerned. I am going to be really clear right here. I am not an advocate in any way, shape, or form that cats and small animals, little bitty dogs, they come that way and people carry them in little purses and stuff like that. They should stay in home. For example, I live on a big hill and there's lots and lots of people and other things in the track, but there's coyotes everywhere because we are fairly rural. Because we're on the hill and the rest of the city's down lower. So you are trying to take nature, which is the coyote eating your dog, and you're all angry about it and you want to go kill all the coyotes. But wait a minute, now we got too many bunnies because that's what the coyotes were eating. And now we've got too many birds, and it's a catastrophic problem. If you go after one species to cure one problem, you've just created 9 possible.
Interesting. Yeah.
So you've got to know that there's a chain reaction. Nobody usually takes those blinders off, and we do all have them on whatever we don't like or do like. And you're like, oh, well, I know that's really bad. Like some child coming up to their parents, no, Mom, I read in school that broccoli is really bad for me. So I don't really want to eat that. And then she put, the good parents who are cooking them learn to saute them and put some Parmesan cheese on them. And you go, this is broccoli? Uh-huh. It's about your perception, and what you think it's going to happen is no different with your pets. That's why I bring in all these examples. We've all had food. We're like, but you're at Aunt Mary's house and you got to eat it. Because, some of us know we have to be kind, or, we're not picky. And a lot of people go to a great deal of cooking special foods for their families or their guests or whatever. Can you imagine how heartbreaking it is? They all say, oh, no, I don't eat that. Oh no, I don't eat that. And you go, wow. And I was in the kitchen for 9 hours because I wanted to go from scratch. If you've never cooked a pie, like, made the crust, but the inside, it's a lot of time before it gets in the oven. And this is not, buy it at the freezer store. So think about your animals the same way. Don't introduce something that you're not aware that they might have a reaction. And it's true for everything. What I want to warn everybody is, it's more true today than it's ever been before, because we people are creating designer dogs faster than we've ever done. And what it got started, now I have a daughter who's a therapist, and she adopted a Brisson Fugé, and it's like a little fuzzy thing. But what it's known for is no allergies. So she wanted a dog in her practice where they wouldn't make her clients sick. And so she has that. But come to find out, though, having this dog, he had rashes, he had itchies, because they took too much and changed the DNA in how his body reacts to things. Now, that's not true for everybody. Of course, it's not true for everybody or every dog, but it's possible. So before you do anything, go to a really good doctor, go to a really good vet, go to a vet that actually either practices this kind of change and helping people get through allergies. There is so much good in having a pet in your life. There is so much good. Your heart will be healed. Your breakup with the boyfriend will be healed. Dogs specifically are pack animals. And guess what you are? The pack. You are either their leader, or, which I hope you are, because it really shouldn't be the dog. I know how that goes too. And they chew up your furniture and go, oh, I really like that. And you go, oh, I can't stop him. He's so cute. And thinking, yeah, you're going to have no furniture, and we're going to resent our animals. I'm sorry. Do you do that with people? I do. If they're rude to me once, I'm like, oh, they have a bad day. Twice, I don't know if we're going to hang out much longer.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah, because it's not a respectful, equal kind of relationship. Now it's just toxic. And if you can't walk away from a toxic marriage, friendship, work environment that happens every day, then you're jeopardizing your mental health.
That is interesting.
And when you go home to that dog or cat, they know. They know.
They are very well aware.
You had a bad day. And they will, what I love about our cats is they will come as soon as I plop myself down on the couch after the day, and they're there. They're there for the petting, of course. But I know I'm also being able to give more love on those trying days. Because I really feel the pure of this fuzzy little thing, and they're fuzzy. They're a little fuzzy. who doesn't want to pet the fuzzies?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that brings up a really good question and something I've been curious about, because you're talking about how our attitudes, emotions, whatever you want to call it, energy, right? I'm just
Yeah.
going to call it energy for purposes of this. Our energy definitely is impacted by animals. But I was wondering, when it's stressful, and I'll be honest, the part of the reason I'm thinking about this is I'm currently in a part of the country where we're experiencing an atmospheric river, and it's been raining for 3 days. But
Wow.
one of the things that I was wondering with that, as we were going into this show, is thinking about how our stress during storms and things like that, will it impact animals? Should we be aware of that? You know
You
what I mean?
should
Okay.
be go with one marker of saying, if you think you should do it, you probably should, unless it's murder or the drugs or anything else.
Thing,
Yeah, let's not do those. But anything that doesn't harm you or anybody. For example, some people and children really are in this when they have pets and their parents are like, oh, they'll take care of them. No, you're expecting a 5, 7, 12-year-old, much less a 16-year-old. Have you met a 16-year-old? I was one of those. And we don't always have our stuff together and we take it out on the animal. That's not parenting. That's not making sure that your other children aren't being bullied, because how many are bullied and the parents find out when they're in college and they're like, oh no, Bob always was pulling my my clothes and this and this, and what he's going through is his own hormones, and the parents should have been aware of that, but they close their eyes, and or whatever version you want it. Your animals need the same. The animals need to. Now we have, what are we up to? 3 cats. And we had, what happened was somebody got a cat, couldn't handle it. This cat was really, really intelligent. The person had never had a pet. And I was like, oh, she's going to eat you alive. And we tried to help her, but she just couldn't manage it. So we said, you know what, we'll take her. You want her back. That was 6 years ago. So, but it's also you setting that alpha position. Now, cats don't have that hierarchy in their thing, but they acknowledge it. If you got one cat, yeah, they will acknowledge it, but it's not the same dog and cat thing. So you can't transfer them over. A pack leader, he's going to die for their pack. He's going to eat somebody up for the pack. There, he's going to bite the skunk, knowing cold well that it's going to really smell bad. All of these things, that's a true leader, and you'll see that in the horses, you'll see that in the donkeys, you'll see that with a lot of different type of animals, not cats. Now, can they? Of course. It's the same thing that I can dream that I'm going to be a wonderful pianist one of these days. I don't own a piano, but I could dream about it, and maybe I had that opportunity later in life, and it's something I'm willing to work at. Don't put tags of things of what this animal does. She's always biting me. She's always biting me. Okay, then why is she always biting you? There's a why, and you're not looking. You're just deciding to label them. Oh, they're a bad animal. Oh, they're a bad animal. We have the cats we have because one, we got her from the shelter, and that is something we do whenever we've adopted. But 2 of them came from failed adoptions that were girlfriends of my daughter or myself. And they're like, oh, could you just take her? I don't know how to deal with her today. And it was because, and I'm going to be as nice as this, but this person doesn't know who I'm talking to. The animal was smarter than the girl. So she was not only taking advantage and eating where she wanted, she was literally telling her what to do. She'd swap her face, she'd swap her in the arm. We're talking about a cat, not the dogs and all that everybody might expect. Because you'll get the dog who will poop on the floor and go, yeah, what are you going to do about that? Yeah. Throwing up's a different thing. Throwing up's a different thing. That's a body doing something it shouldn't do. For throwing up for us and animals is very violent. It's very violent. But if they're going to pee on the thorn, if you have taken them to the vet and you've had them checked for a UTI, anything kind of going wrong with their urinary and their poops and all that, then you can say, is this behavioral or is this medical? But you have to go to the medical step. You have to, because animals, specifically cats, are incredibly clean. Have you seen them sit around all day? La, 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 la.
Mhm.
So how can you possibly blame them that they're doing this on purpose? They're defecating outside the box. What's wrong with the litter box? Go there first. Is the sand too rough on their feet? Is the smell, because they put a lot of odors in them now because the people like it, but it's not good for cats. They're very sensitive in their nose, extremely sensitive. So you need to find out, what did I do? What didn't I do? And this is not blame. This is accountability, saying, how do I fix it if I don't take the idea that maybe I just missed it the first time, but I'm going back and I'm caring about those animals. There are some animals that are naked, and I'm not sure why people like those, but it's about wanting a cat or a dog, but they can't use the dander because of their allergies. Because it literally will kill some people with allergies with pets, but they love them. So how do you justify what you're doing to the animal? This is my question to them, and not to yourself.
That is a good question, right?
Right. And I don't think there's a right answer. I don't think there is. I want you to think about what are you doing, and who are you doing it to, and why don't they have a voice in your relationship that you gave them? Our cats talk to us all the time because look who I am, because I'm always talking to them. And if my girls don't know what they're talking about, they'll, Mom, what the heck did she just say? I can actually understand words because I have been born this way. And I did when I was a kid. And I found out really fast not to talk about it. Because I would talk in the first person and say, don't do that. Didn't you say you hear him? He doesn't like that. And I get this look. I'm thinking, I'm 11. I don't really want to be that. So I didn't do anything until I got an animal science degree and, got all those dots covered, and could mix it in with actual training for people's animals and dogs. But I highly encourage you, stand by what you know. Increase your energy. Your energy is good and positive with knowledge. And that's what the only reason I do this show is, so that people can say, oh, I hadn't thought about it that way, because I try very hard to be very positive. I want to call you on, hey, have you thought about this? Like, don't feed them this, don't feed them that, don't give them cheese or whatever. Talk to your vet. Don't have a vet? Get a vet. That's their specialty.
That is true. Right.
And you have to find somebody that speaks your language. And do we know what this means? I'm meaning that when they say something, you're not always like, was that Science 101 that I don't know? And they're talking in too large of words, too big things. And you say, well, I know what spay and neuter is, but who's spaying and who's neutering? People don't know this if they're not with pets. They don't have any reason to know it. And just so anybody knows, one's for girls, one's for boys. And I'm going to let you Google the rest so you can figure out which is the boy.
But you're right. That is such a good point to think about, the importance of having a vet for your, and a relationship with a vet for your animal, because we would for our children, we do for ourselves.
Yep. You get them all vaccinated. Get your animals vaccinated, because the worst thing I think would be is if I didn't do it and they died, because that's what the animals are going to go through, is either a horrific death, or they're going to get caught by a car, or they're, I am not an advocate of cats being outdoor, and it's twofold. They could get driven over. They're little. Or have you seen a Manx lately? I have, and they're not little, but they still have all the cat wants and things. And what do they want? They want to catch birds. They want to catch birds because they're eating them. So if every house, let's say every third house in a tract, has a cat that is free to run around and come in. They get food and all that water, whatever you're doing in there. That's great. That's great. I'm glad you're doing that. We need to do that. Doesn't mean they're not going to go out there for fun and for food to the local bird population. If you go to a place like I just lost their name, the animal control people and anybody who's in working with wild animals or not, rangers, anything like that, that are dealing with that. House cats that are left to roam about do more damage than cars. And the cats don't have a clue about cars. They just whoop and whoop.
So you just said that house cats can do more damage than a car.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Because they kill them and eat them. And they're like, oh, it's not going to wait. Or they fight over them because they're fighting for resources.
Mm-hmm.
And that cat is running around and you're like, oh, just going to see Bob and Fran and whoever. And it could be just the neighbor's name. I've seen that go on. So little old ladies both away. Oh, but they need to be out and free. Okay. Let's say they need to be out and free.
Mm-hmm.
Are they wild cats? No, they're domesticated. Keep them in your house. Keep them vaccinated. Keep them healthy. And guess what? Like right now, I got a couch, whatever, feet away from me. And I got a little kitty just wound up there and sleeping. So when I walk by her, she's used to me going, ooh, and then I walk by. And it's wonderful because when you have that love, when you have that all inclusive, no, they don't care what you're wearing. They don't care much how bad you smell. A little bit. Some things are more offensive than others. But if you eat garlic all day, they probably go, that's the way she smells. That's the way he smells. Animals, pets specifically, are very loving and part of. You go into the dog realm and you better be the pack leader and you better be good at it. Meaning take some classes because you might not understand what the difference is if you have a dog that's ears go up and down, not one or the other, and all of a sudden you got a dog standing there with his ears up, going like this slowly, and you're like, what's going on? I can tell you from example, I moved in with my husband and I had cats already, and he'd never, and he came from a country where the kids threw rocks at the cats because they were all wild. Nobody knew what to do with them. Mm-hmm. And here I've got litter boxes and kitties. And I think I had 2 when we got married and 3 came later. And it's like, why do you always know what he's doing? And you're always telling him not now. And I didn't articulate that I could hear what he said in the beginning because I was like, he could walk out on the marriage. That's possible. But I said, no, I actually.
That's probably a challenging thing that you want to communicate to somebody, right?
Exactly. But so I had explained him like I do clients and to watch this. This is what that means. To watch this. This is what that means. This is the eye close. It's body language. Mm-hmm. At its finest with a lot of cats. If you develop a conversation with them, you could call this, we're not going to do the bottle thing, right? And I don't know if that's being on the ground or whatever. You can come up with your own, as long as it's repetitively used, and it ideally has hard consonants in it, your T's and your K's and your F's, and not our. I have Middle Eastern family, and I remember meeting one of my brother-in-laws, and he said, "I can know you." And no, and I didn't laugh. I wanted to laugh so bad, but it's like that would be really bad for me. And I said, "No, you don't." He said, "No, I honest," because he thought I was disagreeing with him, and I was like, "No." I said, "I'm going to use the word Jim. Jim, you don't know me. You know me." He said, "Well, then what's the K for?" God, I have no idea. I said, "Have you had an English lit teacher anywhere that can explain that to me?"
Seriously.
Well, because I can know you. I got knives. I got F. I don't think it. come on.
The knife,
Anybody,
yes.
anybody in any other logical, and at the time was getting really fluent in Farsi, and it's because I was around it all the time. I was around with the women, and I was just like, man, this would really do, because their consonants and their vowels were in line with the word. English, no. English, no. So the cats are already behind the 8 ball on anything, but guess what? They're watching. What do you do when you say that? So if you're yelling at them every time they do anything, guess what? Yelling is the way you talk. It is the way you talk. So let's put a little bit more emphasis there and have some calmness. We all get upset. Somebody pooped on the carpet. Somebody did this. Somebody urinated or sprayed or whatever. If they sprayed, then you didn't get them spayed or neutered fast enough. Because that's usually when that energy starts, when they're like, oh, I got to spray, I got to put my scent everywhere. Well, if you've waited years or months to fix that, they can have that habit already in their system. And then you're going to really and honestly, I'm going to give you all my MacGyver. Am I aging myself?
No,
Anybody doesn't know what a MacGyvering is?
I'm right there with you with the MacGyver.
Okay, it was an old site about a show that had a guy who could make anything out of anything. I'm the MacGyver thing. So I take paper, but what I love the most to not hurt my couches and my love seat, can you guess?
No.
Box tape.
Oh.
Guess what? Cats don't stick. They don't like to stick. It freaks them out. And guess what? They touch my couch once and they go, oh, that thing bites.
Well, that's a good idea.
Because they don't have the mental idea that we have. It's tape. Big deal. It's tape.
Yeah.
That is now stuck to their fur. And they can't eat it because it hurts their tongue. And then they come over to you and go, help. Guess what? It takes about 1 week on the side of the love seat, which is the chair I can see from this actress, and I just cover it all up, because when I bought it, I already had a couch that had experienced this, and so I did it immediately. They went over to do their thing, it got stuck, never touched it again. Does that mean you have to refresh the thing? Absolutely, but box tape does not ruin couches. It might leave a little sticky. Just get some rubbing alcohol or something, take it off. But I have yet to have a sticky couch also.
Nice.
So, I mean, this is what I do. This is what I recommend. It shouldn't cost millions of dollars. And it's just that it hasn't occurred to you.
Yeah. Definitely.
And it has me. So I feel like that's what I want to give, is a loving relationship is possible for all of us. Are we supposed to be everybody's friend? Nope. You have people. Nope. Not that one, because it's not healthy for you, or it's not where they are or you are. You're not going to be that. You're not going to be everybody's animal friend. You're not. Are there failures? Absolutely. Have I had failures? Absolutely. And we got a pet. I don't even remember much about her because it was so long ago. And I had a friend who was hard of hearing, and she coughed and called and round and everybody, and nobody could sleep in the house. My kids couldn't sleep, anybody could sleep, because she always had something to say. And that's true sometimes depending on the breed. Well, guess what? My close friend who's hard of hearing took her in, and they had a wonderful 10 years together. Think outside the box.
Well, and it's being intentional with your pets and realizing that they are a part of your family and they are a person, that they have, just like we take considerations for the quote humans, we have to take consideration for the animals, right? You know what I'm saying?
Well, we should, because guess what? They were here first. And if you don't want them pooping outside the box, build a higher wall. And I had to do that, we have an entrance, and we always had tops because of the sand. and you got dirt and dust everywhere. And it's like, I don't care how many times I dust. It's like, I don't like it that much.
Mm-hmm.
And so we put barriers on the top, which made them slow down to coming off. Are the pads still sticking to sand? Absolutely. So guess what? There's a pad. And they sell them everywhere. But guess what? I went to the dollar store and got some of this material that's for, what is it? Like making mats, house welcome mats.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put that outside in front because it was cheaper and it was already made. And I was able to put it at the end of the sandbox where they came out. And I put a cover on the top so it forced them to go forward. Because you can't have them go backwards and the sand goes that way because it sticks to their paws.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like they're wiping their paws down or anything, but that helps them get the sand off. And guess what? Once or twice a day, I take the mat, put it back in the sand, put it back down. It's that easy.
Mm-hmm.
Just think outside the box. It's not for everybody. I know this is a crazy thing that I was just born doing. But it probably came as being a fifth child. Mm-hmm. I was left at my disposals many times. And I wanted cats. And my mom didn't want to do that anymore because the last two had been killed one by a car and one by a neighbor's dog. Mm-hmm. And it was heartbreaking for everybody. But again, I don't want to sound like I'm blaming my mom, but she made rules about the cats that left them in those situations of being around cars and people that didn't like them. So
it's important to be aware of. And I think the thing that I've appreciated today in hearing all of the things that you've talked about is there's a theme of intentionality. Right. And and when we think about it, it's being intentional. Like you said, if it's the all of it has intentionality, right? Where your cat's litter box might be, all of the things, making sure that they have a good experience too. Yeah. And that's going to keep them safe, right? Because and tell me if I'm wrong on this, but it seems to me as if the animal is at as much peace as they could be in, right? If there is as much of an environment in a home that's safe and secure, my bet is that's going to keep them safer, right? Because they're not going to run off.
Well, let's say your friend is bringing over their pug dog, German Shepherd. Honestly, I'd rather the German Shepherd because guess what? The big dogs, they just sit on you and they go, you're squished, but they don't have any of that angst in it. Even your pinchers or any of these bully dogs that everybody's terrified or schooled of. I said, be afraid of the Chihuahua, dude. Because they're high energy, they're always yapping, or especially if they have not been told and taught how to. It's the same thing with your kids. It's the same thing with anybody's kids. We all go to daycare with them or something like that, and like, oh, please don't play with Mikey, because his mom's gonna want him to come to our house, and it's the kid that picks up a glass and drops it, and now you got shards of glass all over. See, in our house, we don't wear shoes in the house. No, we have house shoes if you want that, but that's dangerous. But we have cats. So why is that not dangerous? And some people prefer the glass and they like the texture or whatever. That's fine. But don't do it around your cats or dogs. And God forbid you have slippery hands. It will literally be one of the most expensive vet bills because if it burrs in and they're chewing their paw to get it out because it's really painful. And I don't know you, my cats do not hold still for tweezers very well. No. And I worked in a clinic, so I knew how to, football them and get them out there. But luckily I never had we've had broken glass. It has happened. Mm-hmm. But I immediately went and took the cats and locked them in a room in one of the bedrooms.
And that is important. It's important, like you said, to be thoughtful, to have a plan, to know what you're going to do, and to think about it from their perspective.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. The most is, I know we end with that statement, with that, both of us saying it, but you've got to think of, if you have a baby and you put them up on a high chair to do the foodie thing and all that kind of stuff, do you walk away? not out of eyesight, because the baby could choke on their food that you thought they already put down. The leg on the thing could break. The dog could jump over and say, "Oh, baby!" And they're all.
Mm-hmm.
I see years ago when I was doing a lot of my in office work. When you work with getting different certifications, you have to actually work in the clinics, and they're fabulous learning tools besides just the books. And this woman brought her dog in to have put down, perfectly healthy. And I was lucky enough to hear the conversation because I was helping the vet that day. And one of the vets was known for not putting them down, but putting them back into circulation with people who would give the dog a chance. But sometimes that got complicated, and they wanted to see him die or what. Yeah, we didn't do that. For a senior dog, that's different. Yeah, if you want to be there, that's a life well lived. Mm-hmm. An animal you're angry at and or you want to do some harm and you want the vet to participate, that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's not what we do. We will try to help you rehome them and all that type of stuff, and that's what this dog deserved. They didn't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. If you're going to get a high-strung, active animal, and that can be a Chihuahua, okay, people? This can be this little, or it can, and the bigger ones are actually much more calm on whole. Mm-hmm. They don't got anything to prove. They sit on you and you're squished. It's not painful, but
they have 5 on their, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and if you teach them to keep their mouth off you all the time, and all you have to do, some people is like, well, how do I do that? Well, you could do it as simple as going, boop. That's uncomfortable, and they have no idea what it means because you really don't either. But guess what? It's instantaneous. You don't have to walk out of the room, get a ruler if people still hit people with those things. You know what I mean? Or a whip, or they've got something, or, and you just go plunk and say, don't do it again. And you walk away and you let it go. But every time they do this thing, they get that very uncomfortable blink on their lip and they go, well, that sucks. What am I? And they will work it out with you because you're going to say, don't do that. Mm-hmm. Don't pee here. Don't pee there. If you've got an animal not ever peeing in the pee box or you got a dog watering a corner, you need to find out why. Mm-hmm. Because they either got a bladder infection or there's an odor that is offensive on the wall and you didn't know that your Tommy dearest was putting baloney all over the wall, because kids do that. And they'll say, oh, but the doggy licks it. And I don't want the doggy licking my walls with $100 worth of whatever paint or whatever you did. But if you don't see all that, then what did you do? You blame the dog.
Mm-hmm. That definitely makes sense.
Do your homework. Just because your lovely child said it wasn't him, it probably was. So do your research. If you find that you're struggling with your pet, there is a moment where you go with, can we overcome it? Can we learn from each other? Or is this time to do the right thing by this animal? I don't have the bandwidth. I'm too sick. Whatever it is, it's valid for your side. Mm-hmm. Then participate, talk to a vet, talk to a trainer, anybody in the industry you can, and say, I need to rehome this animal. Mm-hmm. It is best for both of us.
It's going to keep everybody safe, right? And it's going to keep it's going to let the dog have their best life, or the animal, it's going to let you have your best life. And then that's really what it's about.
Exactly. So don't beat yourself up if you're doing it from love and the right way. Because I'll have you tell people dumped a lot of animals on me over the years, and we actually, one of my saddest stories, we were buying a house and they had a big field of dirt outside that. I think that was supposed to be the yard. But what we found out when we were doing a walkthrough before we closed Esther, there was a septic tank in the middle of the yard. And if you don't know what a septic tank or anybody's listening, they're really big because it's all the poop and stuff for the house. And so they took it out. And we were told, oh, well, be careful. There's a German Shepherd in the back. I said, wait a minute. Didn't you say they just removed a septic tank? It's ginormous. Well, what happened? And they said, oh, they left the hole and the dog. And I'm thinking, well, he could have gotten killed. And nobody would have even been there because he'd have died a horrible suffrage thing and dropping 60 feet down where this thing was. Anyways, I took him, put a leash on him, and he became, part of our family. And I had an 18-month-old and a 12-month-old. And I was thinking, I'm going to be shooting myself there soon. But you know what my girls learned? How to be loving, how to be kind, because he didn't understand jumping, the German Shepherd, and the girls down here. So I was like, no, you can't jump on anybody. So he started jumping around us. And what did I do? Is I had taken all those training classes, and with a big dog like that, you just grab onto their jowls and pull them down, because this is a very sensitive place. And he doesn't want me to keep doing that. And of course I didn't do it hard. Just nope, down, one word. Not, okay, Jake, we're going to have this conference and we're going to talk about your behavior. But he loved the girls as pack members, and it was a great experience for my small children to understand the life and how we could make a difference in this life. And he was with us till the day he died.
That is such a powerful story. And it is, again, it's about compassion, and it's about love, and it's about how, again, we can all coexist, right? Because
and there's everybody's out there to teach you. I'm not the only one. You can Google it nowadays. And you find the solution that fits your problem.
And that is the powerful part. And I want to thank you for being with us this week again and guiding us through and giving so many things to think about. I was just thinking about all of the different parts that that we've thought about with safety, whether it be the tattooing for an animal. I think that's powerful.
It is.
Making sure that they're tagged, making sure that we're thinking from their perspective.
Right.
All very so useful information for us.
If you want your pet back, put a tag on them. Put a tattoo. With Jake, German Shepherd, these are regularly stolen dogs because it was purebred. And I not only had the tattoo in his ear, I had the code, and I was able to find the original breeder. And boy, was he upset that this dog had been dumped.
I would imagine.
Because this dog was over what, $3,000. I didn't pay that. That was what the first one. And then they dumped him. And with a septic tank hole, which he could have died in, and nobody would have been there. And that's what makes my blood boil.
Understandable. It is. Yeah. Well, it is good that we have you to be here and to remind us and to guide us through being better able to coexist and to sustain with our animals and with the universe in its whole entirety.
Absolutely. And so many people, I did a whole show of why processed food can't best be left in your dirt, because it has so many chemicals, and it's meant to preserve so your dog can eat it in 3 days or 7 weeks or whatever, but you can't put that in and then wonder why the animal is, something they destroy, not, make it fertilizer. There's so many of these little pieces that I've drowned myself in the knowledge of it because I love it. And I want to make a difference in somebody else, because there are so many today. I adopted Jake now, 20, 30 years ago. But today, organic is the winner, because so many pet owners said, nope, if I can't say the first 3 ingredients, I'm not eating it. He's not eating it. She's not eating it. And great work, people. We have to keep that going. And the vets have always been on our side pretty much. And spay and neutering clinics are now everywhere, because especially if you have a boy, they just snip right there and, tape it up. The females are a little more expensive, but we don't need more animals. We need better pet carers.
We need to be aware of it.
Thank you so much. I love working with you. It's been so much fun.
Well, thank you this week. And this episode, again, so powerful and so timely as far as thinking how we can keep our pets safe. And Amina will be back next Friday.
Absolutely.
Pet Psychic Amina is here every Friday at 12 Pacific on USA on USA Global TV in radio. Please like, subscribe, and be notified when there is a new episode of Coexistence and Sustainability on USA Global TV and radio. We thank you for being with us today. We want to say we appreciate you, and we will see you next Friday. Now, a word from our sponsors.